Chidanandji, now you can start speaking, please.
Yeah. Namaste. Good evening to everybody in India and in the West. Good morning. We have a certain topic for our discussion in this session. What does control do to thought? What does control do to thinking? This is one of the questions that a lot of people find rather hard to understand. In the world, a whole lot of popular notions exist. Large numbers of people believe that when we control our mind, we are better off. And for them, when we say do not control, if we say do not control your mind, immediately they go to certain other option which they can visualize, and that other option is to behave in a wanton manner, to do whatever one feels like, to break all norms or values, rules, to behave in certain unrestrained manner, etc. That is what comes to their mind. So first I must clarify that in this aspect or in this matter of the teachings, where controlling the mind is questioned, seemingly saying do not control, it's not exactly going from do and don't, do to don't or don't to do. There is something more to this. In the teachings of Sri J. Krishnamurti, at a lot of places, he questions this business of controlling the mind. And once more, majority of first-time readers of Krishnaji's writings or speeches would say, oh no, unless we control our mind, we go berserk. We'll behave in some unethical manner. We'll behave in very vulgar ways. And whole society will go into chaos, etc., they imagine. They are not fully wrong, because for many people, yes, not to control means to just go by their whims and fancies. Not to control for many people means going by their own urges. I see something which belongs to somebody else and I get attracted to it. I want to have it. So ordinarily the two options are I control myself and not touch it because it's somebody else's some precious object, or I don't control myself, I take it with both my hands and maybe run away. This is what most people visualize. The teachings talk about control in a very different way. There is a third option. You neither control nor go by whatever you feel like, but you watch the way the mind is operating. If we control, the difficulty is we may not know the root causes for why our mind is behaving in a certain way. We do not know what is beneath a certain urge or a certain anger. Certain wild thought arises. And many a time, we don't know. It's like seeing the top of the tree and not even thinking that there could be roots of the tree. How can there be a tree without roots? However, somebody sees a tree and looks at just the tree, knows only the tree with the branches, with the leaves, with the flowers, and so on. The whole of the tree consists of the branches and the fruits or the leaves and flowers, etc., as well as the roots beneath the earth. Likewise, a whole lot of our emotions, or for that matter, even judgments, certain opinions, and life is these emotions, opinions, etc., and what else? There is nothing. Life is full of what these desires, dislikes, etc., do to us. Certain thing we desire and we move towards obtaining what appeared very attractive to us. Certain other things cause a certain dislike and revulsion in us. It repels us. We want to move away. All that is understandable. So the question is, what does control do to our thinking? To make matters a bit easier, let me talk about an example of a father who is very short tempered. At the least provocation, this father yells at his son or daughter, I told you not to do it. Why did you do it? Just don't come near that. Keep away. That too, let's say, with anger. The young son gets frightened. The young son feels that the father is always hard on him. You know what happens? Many fathers think that is the way to raise him in the best way. He will become a well behaved man later. Sorry, that doesn't happen like that. If a father is screaming or yelling at the son, or for that matter, a husband is yelling and screaming at his wife, or the other way also, a wife is all the time complaining, uh, nagging with her husband, the result will not be what the father or the husband or the wife would have anticipated. That kind of controlling the son, trying to control the husband, trying to control the wife, in a friendship also, trying to control the friend. In every relationship, you and I have some amount of this business. Politicians try to control the rich people. Rich people try to control the politicians. Everywhere, in all relationships, between two individuals or between groups of people, sometimes very explicitly. Some other times, the control takes place in ways that are hard to recognize. In the English language, you have an expression, stooping to conquer. Stooping to conquer means outwardly or from a distance, A apparently is bending, bowing down before B. But if you carefully examine, in many cases, it's only a temporary gesture. Very soon, after probably winning the confidence of B, A comes out in its true colors. Stooping to conquer. So, our psychology is so complex. We human beings have a very involved psychology. So, I gave some examples of what happens in human relationships. Something similar happens in our relation with thought. I get a certain thought, let us say, which according to my religion or according to the law of the land where I live, according to some books which I have read, let's say this thought is not right. And the moment I recognize that this thought is probably not right, there is a certain discomfort, there is a certain fear. At the same time, the thought has gained some momentum. The thought wants me to do what it is suggesting. But another part of mind says, don't do this. This is wrong. This is unethical. This is vulgar. This is mean. Oh, so many. In ordinary lay language, a simple word is used. You are doing something wrong. In law, the word used very many times is you are doing a crime. And in religion, another word, you are committing a sin. Sometimes the words, have their own quality, their own smell. Next time a grandson of yours, let's say, drops a glass cup and it breaks, you can tell him, my dear boy, why did you drop it? That was wrong. He gets one feeling. That was a crime. Don't say that. And for never say, you have committed a sin by breaking that glass. So, words, therefore, are great tools, but they also are big mischief makers. Words have their own flavor, and the words sometimes mean different things to different people. The religious word, like sin, to believers, to those who go to temples or churches or mosques or other prayer places of prayer, if their teacher, their instructor, their ministers says to them, you are doing sin, they get very nervous. They are believers. But there are a lot of people in today's world who are not believers. If somebody says to them, what you are doing is sin, they'll say, so what will happen? I believe a certain pastor, a Christian minister said to a parishioner, you are committing sin, you will go to hell. The parishioner was going because his wife was probably taking him. He did not have any belief in any of this. The member of the church said, Father, say it again. The father said, you will go to hell, I am telling you. Okay, let us meet there also, he said. So there are lots of jokes about churches. My favorite is there is a confession session. The father says to the member of the church, asks him a question actually. Son, do you entertain vulgar thoughts sometimes? And this naive member says, after thinking for a moment, no, father, it's the other way around. Vulgar thoughts entertain me. I don't entertain them. So that's a little bit of a joke with it. It can be said only in English because the word entertain can mean someone entertains vulgar thoughts entertain him. The word entertain has two different meanings, as you know. Now, coming seriously to this topic, when we control somebody, many a time, more often than not, the person who is controlled is left with a bitter taste in his mouth. That person is unhappy with us. Sometimes, even for right reasons, we need to be doubly careful before criticizing or condemning or finding fault with that person. We never know what his or her reaction is. Likewise, this business of controlling our mind essentially on the surface is not a bad idea, but actually what happens is this mind of ours may go to suppression. Mind of ours being subjected to control. in the so-called meditation or in the so-called real life situation, we say to our mind, shh, don't think like that. Don't have this emotion. Don't let this emotion rise anymore. There is a certain panic or there is certain energy, high energy, disagreement, disapproval. And imagine this energy in thought may go into suppression. What does suppression mean? The root cause is not eliminated. In fact, something worse happens. Number one, the root cause is not eliminated. Number two, there was a certain opportunity for us to understand ourselves. There was a certain opportunity for us to understand why we think in a certain way, why we feel in a certain way. There are deeper layers to thoughts and emotions. And we had a golden opportunity to notice those deeper layers. Maybe I have had a prejudice for a certain length of time. Maybe coming under the influence of some people, my mind is working in a certain way. It seems some people regularly read in good old days, what are that name? Agatha Christie. I haven't read even one detective novel of hers, but I know there was this British lady, I guess, Agatha Christie wrote so many novels which are all detective novels. There is a crime and there are a lot of clever people, and then there is some hero who is the police, who is the detective, who is the CID, Criminal Investigation Department fellow. He figures out. But you know what happened? Certain people who read Agatha Christie's novels were badly influenced. She described in her novels how some bank robbery was done, how a murder was committed in some one bedroom apartment where a single lady was living or something, all kinds of scenarios. And these fellows decided to try that out because she had explained, she had described in such detail what are the preparation, what are the caution, what caution the thieves or the criminals took before successfully committing that crime. These fellows noted it down. We will also take all that care. And they committed crime. Now, we are not murderers, we are not criminals in that sense, but we also actually deal with situations merely going by the influence of some book we read, some movie we saw, or some company, somebody, our companions, somebody with whom we spend a lot of time, have meals together or have coffee together, etc. We are influenced. We are influenced by lobbies. These days, thanks to the digital media, oh my God, so much keeps coming towards us. And in psychology, there is an expression I have mentioned in my previous talks, something called confirmation bias. For some reason, suppose I like communist ideas, I like it, then I would like to read more and more of that type of thought. And even if a view, an opinion opposed to communism comes my way, I just delete it. I don't want to watch. Other way around also. In our country, India today, the right wing and the left wing are really at war. Right wing and left wing are at war. My honest submission here is none of us really is fully left or fully right, but predominantly some of us could be towards right. But those of us who are towards right also have a little leftist, you know, content in us. And those of us who declare ourselves to be leftist, whatever that word means, At places, we are quite rightist, whatever that word may mean. So, without going too much into psychology, really speaking, thought has to be understood. Now, let me make this submission. Here is the level called control. Something inferior to it is doing whatever we feel like doing. That is sometimes called licentiousness. We become licentious. Licentiousness is not at all the same as freedom. Even the flavor of these two words we know. The flavors are different. To live in freedom is wonderful, but to live in licentiousness, let's say in our country, we have to drive on the left side, and we say, I don't like all these rules. Today I'll go on drive on the right side. In some Western countries, the cars have to go on the right side, and if the people there say we will drive today on the left side, that kind of mindlessly, thoughtlessly, irrationally breaking laws, becoming a law unto ourselves, is licentiousness in the context of pleasure, power, position, finance. In every area, we could behave in a licentious manner, as though we are above all law. That, I say, is inferior to these sincere attempts at controlling. I control myself. I see that there is no car, no pedestrian, nobody. Then my mind says, there is nobody this morning. There's no one on the roads. So how does it matter? At a certain circle, instead of going round by the left, I just take a right without going around the circle, let us say, which is wrong. So even as I think of doing that, it is healthy control. I control myself. No, whether there is a single man or lady on the streets or not, whether there is any four-wheeler or two-wheeler or not, I'll follow the rule. This is India. In our country, we have to be on the left side. I drive my car on the left, go around the circle, and I have to turn right. After 180-degree around the circle, I turn right, something like that. That's all very good. We don't criticize control there. But behaving in a licentious manner is criticized. Control certainly is better. But in psychological issues, why do I get irritated? Why do I get lonely? Why do I get attracted to pleasure at the drop of a hat? I want to eat, drink, make merry. I want to enjoy, etc. In that matter, simply controlling can lead to more and more, what is that word? Distortion of the psyche. Root causes are neither noticed nor handled. Therefore, bringing my presentation more or less to a close, I'll come to the essential, most important point. If we don't control our mind, then what do we do? Wait a minute, don't be so attached to doing. And don't be so attached to don't be so addicted to doing. Compared with not doing anything, staying idle, staying laid back, doing is praised in this world. Agreed. But you think doing is the ultimate? Higher than doing, in a manner of saying, higher than doing is go slow and watch, understand. In fact, when we feel dusty or greedy, when we feel jealous or terribly lonely, when we feel at times in life very bitter, those are the golden moments for deeply understanding the little self in us. Those are the golden opportunities to ask ourselves the what Deepak Chopra called the $1,000,000 question. Who am I? Who am I is regarded as one of the greatest questions in spirituality. Ask yourself, who am I? But the best time to ask who am I is not when everything is going as per your wish. When there is conflict, when there is turmoil, when there is a certain self-rejection. I want to do something, but part of mine says, I don't do. And one part says, do it, go ahead. You will not get a chance like this another time. Do it now. Another part says, no, it's wrong, it's crime, it's sin, it is this, it is that. There is a war going on. That is the best time to stand back a little bit and watch thoughts. Then, the good news is every one of us has certain intelligence beyond thought, intelligence which is not necessarily expressing through thought. It is something superior to the thought, superior to mind. And we would dare say it is superior even to the brain. Brain is a programmed machine. And here some people may have a different view. I am perhaps a little influenced by Vedanta. In the Vedanta, it is said there is certain principle of chit, consciousness, pure consciousness, not conditioned consciousness. There is certain unconditioned consciousness. Someone like Nisargadatta would call it awareness with an uppercase A. There's a certain awareness in you which has its own intelligence. That intelligence is not of thought. That intelligence doesn't belong to thought. Thought or no thought, that intelligence operates. And we give a chance to that intelligence. That intelligence then notices hidden programming, hidden conditionings, hidden biases, hidden presumptions, pre-concluded ideas. There are many things in us. When they come face to face with us, we come face to face with them. That seeing itself brings about some change in our mind. What could not have been achieved by control, which is a painful affair, which is a bloody war, is simply achieved in a you know, bloodless operation. Blood I'm using in the sense of violence and all that unpleasant. Very smoothly, in watching, in understanding, in seeing. Of course, there may be certain emotions rising that time. Maybe some tears come down your cheeks. When you find out the root causes of your either timid, cowardly behavior, or you come to know why you have been behaving in a harsh and violent, aggressive behavior. Different people among us have different problems. Hardly anyone among us is free from problems. Every one of us has his own behavioral disorders. Some work too much, that is their problem. Some don't work at all, postpone everything. That's another. Some talk too much and they don't know why they talk too much. And some others among us, you and me, I don't spare myself. Even when it is necessary to say one word, we just look up. I'll tell them another day. How do you know another day will come? This is the time you have to say. At least softly say, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I have difficulty in accepting this proposal of yours. Just say that at least. But some of us don't say when it has to be said. And some of us don't allow others to speak at all. Right? So I don't have to give more examples. Why do we behave the way we behave, causing disharmony, causing rift, causing much pain to ourselves, leave alone others? All this is better handled by certain amount of self-observation, self-awareness, and that is above control. When you are resorting to observation, you don't control. And there is no question of being licentious. It's a higher operation of which all of us are capable. And we must develop that skill of gentle observation of how our thought and word operate. Let me pause here. Namaste.
Thank you very much. Parekh sir, would you please like to throw some light on the subject? Parekh sir.
Are you able to hear my voice?
Audible, audible.
Thank you, Swamiji. The last thing which you said, that there is something within us which can see how thoughts are arising. That seeing the real intelligence, then the problems are really solved. We don't need to control, we don't need to indulge, but we can see thoughts as they are, and there is nothing to be done with that state in which thoughts are seen. But many thoughts come to our mind, and we don't know why these thoughts are coming, and we don't observe also these thoughts, and we get tired without doing anything, because there are so many unconscious, unobserved thoughts comes. Sometimes thoughts comes when we see something, like when I see a bird, then a song about the bird, or when I look at the moon, a song about the moon comes, like that. It is these thoughts come through our senses, seeing, listening, and all that. It creates thought. But there are many thoughts which comes by itself. We are not thinking, but thoughts are going on, and it can be observed if we are really alert. We are in that state of seeing thoughts, then there is nothing to be done. These thoughts come and go away, just like the clouds which come and go away. So our problems of controlling, it comes because we are not able to observe carefully. And when we say trying to control a thought, then what is that entity which is trying to control thought? Like we, what happens when we try to control thought? So this we, what is that we? If it is another thought, a stronger thought, which tries to control another thought, then there is a conflict. So that is what generally happens. That when there is an anger, then anger comes because there is a reason for it. Somebody has said something unpleasant, and then the other thought says, I should not be angry. So it tries to suppress or control anger. Then there is a conflict between what is and what should be. And that is what generally happens in our daily life for most human beings. And so that creates conflict. And that conflict means the waste of energy, and we get tired. So we cannot control, we cannot indulge. Like another example, like Swamiji gave several examples of father and son. I give an example that suppose you have a disease, say diabetes, and you see ice cream there. Everybody is eating ice cream, and you like to eat that ice cream. But then another thought says, no, I should not eat because then it will make my health even bad. I will get more problems later on. So this is what is happening in our daily life of whatever we do. And this happens, this becomes a problem because that dimension, what Swamiji said, what Krishnaji calls choiceless awareness, which is not in the same field as thinking and feeling. That awareness, when it can even see the beginning of a thought, a beginning of anger can be seen when there is that awareness, choiceless awareness or intelligence is there. And when this anger is arising, when it is seen not by what we call I, which doesn't like anger, not that, but this awareness sees the anger arising, and that seeing becomes the action. So, as Krishnaji sometimes says, in the light of awareness, all problems created by thinking and feeling, they are dissolved. So, our problem, main problem for all human beings, is a lack of clarity, a clear seeing, intelligence, which can look at the thought as it is, not opposite of it. But our mind goes into opposite directions and creates a lot of conflict because that awareness is lacking. Now somebody may ask how that awareness come. And as Swamiji said, we all have that awareness, but that is blocked by continuity of thoughts, one thought after another thought, and there are dense layers of thinking of which we are not aware, and it is draining our energy. And this awareness is hidden under the dense layers of thinking. So only when there is a discontinuity in our thinking, that means there is a gap between two thoughts or there is silence, then that awareness which is hidden under can come up above the surface of thinking and feeling, and then it can see clearly what the thoughts are doing. So for that, one has to do something, sit alone, have the curiosity to observe the thoughts arising, not getting trapped into one thought, into another thought, and like that, but having the curiosity to look at thoughts without trying to change them. And then, if it is possible, if a person is able to do, then these thoughts, they don't create any problem. They come and go. But in the absence of this awareness, thought creates another thoughts, and we go on round and round, and endless conflict. So I would finally say that what we need is a clear seeing, which is not through thinking and feeling, another dimension. And Krishnamurti's teachings are about this awakening of awareness, which can see what is happening. And finally, I give you one example that there was one sannyasi who, by chance, listened to Krishnamurti, and this sannyasi had lived in the Himalayas and he had controlled his thought, and he was able to silence his mind, and he had many siddhis also, many power, many followers. But what Krishnaji said, that that kind of meditation in which you want to achieve something and you suppress your thinking and you achieve something, that is a self hypnosis. That kind of meditation with trying to get somewhere, to achieve something. And when that sannyasi listened to that, what Krishnaji said, he was really struck by what Krishnaji said, and then he came and had a dialogue with Krishnaji and begin to understand that controlling thought is a waste of energy, and in that there is nothing new. But what needed is this a different dimension of seeing clearly thoughts and feelings as they are arising. So that means one has to be in the state of watching, an effortless, ongoing awareness of what is unfolding within us. And that is what Krishnaji is challenging all of us to be watching very, very curiously, not in order to achieve something, but it tells you everything about yourself. And in that such watching, there are no illusions, there are no regret that you did something wrong. Even if you did something wrong, you can get it over it very quickly by this watching. So that is the real teachings, or whether it is the Upanishad teachings or Krishnaji's teachings or Buddhist teachings, is to come to that state of watching clearly thoughts and feelings without interfering with it. And that resolves all our problems. Okay, I said
Thank you.
nothing
Thank
like
you. Thank you.
Thank
Dinesh Waghmare, you are welcome.
Are you able to hear my voice, sir?
We are able.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, Harshad, sir. Today's topic is what happens when we try to control thought. Interesting topic. First of all, why do you want to control thoughts? According to me, because mind chattering disturbs the mind with flooding of thoughts, which creates turbulence of mind, a central disturbance. This creates disorder, unrest, or restlessness, anxiety, etc. As per my second point, as per positive or negative thoughts, you have chemical reactions in body, which creates first functional disturbance and then disease. Third, a quietness of mind is required for peace, comfort, convenience, etc., which is required to deal with the which is required to deal properly with present. Next, silence of mind can give access to other dimension. This is also a question in chat box. The answer is silence of mind can give access to other dimension, which can ultimately give freedom beyond the words. Now about thought. It is a natural feature of mind. Mind and brain DO, we start with simple movement in childhood. And as the mind repository increases with information and knowledge, which we call conditioning, it gets momentum and interferes with the mind normal working, as said earlier. Thoughts depletes energy as per their nature. Now to control the thoughts is difficult because it has got momentum. Moreover, thought is essential for the security point of view of human humans, and further it helps in knowing situation which we call experience. To deal a situation with ease, experience is required, and which creates thought. Also, it is primer or the source for the worldly inventions or growth of mankind. Thoughts are mainly have input from intellect, and they are also linked with the emotions and feelings, senses, data, etc. Thought can be controlled only by natural process of awareness and wisdom, as said by the JK. In past, I have discussed about the nature of thoughts and JK pointers about them, which I will repeat. But prior to that, even Vedanta says the same thing. Vedanta says when first in Vedanta first your prerequisite is Vivek, which means wisdom. Second is Vairagya. Vairagya means you are not interested in worldly things. So Vivek, Vairagya and Mumukshakta means you have passion about the freedom. So that three things, which also are the key point, which are the key points, and that also appears in the JK teachings. If we go deep, now we will see what are the types of thoughts and what are the JK pointers about them. I have tried to link JK pointers with various types of thoughts. According to me and my experience, when one starts observing the thoughts, then he finds traffic of trivial thoughts, like keeping unnecessary information, knowledge, gossiping, etc. These are superficial thoughts, and these are because of ignorance, as one does not know that thought consumes energy. JK points here that as one understands the structure, function, effect, and right place of thought, then with maturity, these thoughts are reduced. I have studied JK about 20 years, and now my own version is this. My finding is this, and this also matches with my own experience. So that's why I'm saying this thing, that you have to be mature to reduce this traffic of trivial thoughts. Second, mechanical thoughts. Examples are a music or song repeats itself. JK pointer here is these are because of inattention and because one is not through with it. Every song has got some emotion or feeling behind it, and which the observer likes. If he go through it, remain with it, and find out what is the message in it, then this song will go. Suppressed or repressed thoughts because of past hurt, fear, memories of past suffering, etc. These are basically feelings, and as per JK, one has to remain with it as it rises without escape. This releases the energy of these thoughts. This also applies to past happy memories. Next, daily routine matter thoughts. To reduce this, one requires right thinking and clarity of mind, so that he can operate on perception is action level. This also applies to the thoughts related to the office work, job, planning, etc. of technical nature. Ultimately, mind has to be matured enough to operate on perception is action level as much as possible. Thoughts arise because of reactions or response in relationship. This is the next point. Thoughts arise because of reaction or response in the relationship. This requires maturity of mind and wisdom. JK's pointer are one should understand difference between sensitivity and sentimentality. What attachment does how image interferes in relationship, what is one's role in the movement in relationship, and how he is related in the matter. How he is related in the matter. Next, thoughts of unfinished business. These are the thoughts which are because one has kept pending any issue for a longer time. It may be technical or of psychological nature related to intellect or feelings, emotions. Say any financial matter or liability issue or any hobby, etc. kept pending, any unfulfilled desire or any suppressed or repressed feelings, emotions related to these, etc. These suppressed or repressed feelings also appears in dreams. Dream will definitely give you a hint about such emotions or pending issues. To reduce these thoughts, one has to take decision about it, either complete the issue or close it. JK has given a pointer here as ending of thought. Now, what is this ending of thought? Suppose there is a movie, and movie, if you stop it in between, that is stopping of stopping. And if you even you even you if sees it in between, then that is cessation. But if the movie is complete, you have seen the complete movie, then that is the ending of movie. So that's why at the end they say the end. And once you see the complete movie, then you are free with it. But if you the movie is not complete, it is in between, then you will continue thinking that what will happen afterwards and what has happened and what was the end of the movie and all that. So thoughts will be there all the time. Now now thoughts related to becoming career or becoming, etc. Here JK points out that there should be flowering in goodness. Means what are your natural tendencies and your natural inclinations? Those should be allowed to grow without any fear or without any without any other motives, and to promote natural tendencies and virtues. So there will be a flowering in goodness. Now the last and most important point is thoughts because of conditioning. We may say past conditioning. It may be related to religion, nationality, general mass conditionings, family background, etc. Also, the basic thoughts of fear and greed, etc. JK points out here that one has to go deep and understand the truth behind these conditionings. So, these are the broad classifications of thoughts, and working on these also covers the JK pointer of self-knowing, because this also addresses individuality. In general, to reduce thoughts, wisdom is required apart from the choiceless awareness. We have talked enough about seeing, listening, etc. But in my views, the said working is also required to quiet the mind. With wisdom, there is a possibility of awakening of the intelligence. So, the JK's intention, as per me, is that thought should automatically stop. Negation means what? Negation means the thought has completed its life. You will find that every thought rises, then it remains and it goes. So whenever a thought arises, it has got some issue in it or content in it. So that content, if you address properly, then it will there is no need of that. So one has to go deep and see what are the matters. And once the silence is created, or even the reduction of the thought, or say dilution of the, is automatically the dilution of ego. And if the ego is diluted, then you can access that other dimension. And once that dimension is there, then or awakening of intelligence is there, then things will be different. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Swamiji, would you please like to say at 7:15 you have to leave?
Yeah, I would say both Harshad ji and Dinesh ji have made very important comments. Every bit of it is good for all of us to look at this topic better and more effectively. On the whole, to my mind, it seems that there are all kinds of thoughts and emotions that rise in us, but whatever either threatens our existence or gives us false security, either causes discomfort to us or makes us feel good. I am better now. I am fortunate. I am now, secure, and so on. Sometimes thoughts create that illusion. Some other time thought says you are sinking, you are in danger now. So there is a certain sense of I, and this I in good shape or bad shape. So this being in good shape and bad shape actually is a mischief of thought. As you and I know, there are lots of people in this world who actually live in tremendous poverty and yet are smiling, when many of them don't have any position to boast of. Many of them don't have a town which has the best weather or any such thing. But it seems that happiness and certain well-being doesn't have much to do with the number of things to which we attach a lot of value. Of course, I am in no way saying, therefore, throw away all your wealth and go into some hut where there are mosquitoes 24 hours. I'm not saying, don't be foolish. This is not a call for foolishness. But this awareness, this watching, exposes a whole lot of unnecessary dependence on things, and a whole lot of we sell ourselves for propaganda, and we take sides blindly. So that is the way to freedom, it seems. We must be aware of, even as certain comfort, certain convenience, certain ways in which we save time, all that is part of our modern life. In no way we want to just take them away from our life. In communication, in medicine, in health, everywhere there is a lot of progress. But lastly, I should say that we, the human beings, have a tremendous responsibility at this point of our life or our civilization. We have to counter the scientific and technological growth with certain awakening in ourselves. If we don't wake up, the same science and technology which we have only created would make us suffer more and more. Even as science and technology goes 100 steps ahead, we must be alert enough to stay even further ahead, so that we clearly know what is dispensable, what is very necessary for us. We should not become mechanically, we should not become enslaved by all these urban ways of living, cities' ways of enjoying, and so on. So this intelligence has to be awakened. No wonder one of Krishnamurti's books is titled like that, Awakening of Intelligence. I would also like to quickly answer two questions by Shraddha Gandhi, which perhaps all of you can see in the chat box. I'll very briefly answer. How to access the intelligence which is beyond thought? Uh, really speaking, it's not so much about accessing it. It is to notice the mischief thoughts are doing, notice the conditioning thoughts are causing, and then thoughts move away. In the Vedanta, we have a very powerful illustration. To see the sun, we don't have to reach the sun. The black clouds, the dark clouds in the sky have to move away. When clouds move away, the sun will become visible. Likewise, we live in contradictions. We live in certain very confused thinking. That confusion has to be seen for what it is. See the false as false, then the false will not remain. Our second question is a bit more complicated. Where is the exact location from where thought arises? Are thoughts part of a collective consciousness accessed by individuals as per situation and emotion? There are two questions therefore in this. Where is the exact location of thought? I would go by what Ramana Maharshi has said in very clear terms. It's not from the brain, it's not from the head so much as it is from the heart. Not the heart which pumps blood in or out, but there is a certain point deep in our chest, and that's where we primarily feel the sense of I, and the brain and the functioning of the brain make us believe that everything is happening up here. But Maharshi Ramana has said that thoughts actually arise from the heart and then express themselves through the brain. So something where we intensely feel I, that is the source of thought also. Last part of our question is thought drawn from collective consciousness? Imagine lots of thoughts are in the collective consciousness, and depending upon situation or emotion, we connect to one bunch of thoughts up here or maybe up there. This is also an idea that is there in the allied literature. I would say that there is a connection between the collective consciousness and individual consciousness, but by and large, every one of us has a certain responsibility. We can't say somehow some bunch of thoughts from collective consciousness descended into me and has made me suffer or enjoy. We actually are responsible. If we awaken greater viveka, which Dineshji called wisdom, if we awaken, if we bring out more viveka, the ability to distinguish the true from the false, etc., uh, the collective consciousness cannot affect us much. In fact, the right good thoughts will come from there. So the Vedic prayers have talked of good thoughts coming to us from all sides. Bharate Vidya Bhavan has the slogan, Ano Badraha Kratavo Yantu Vishwataha. May noble thoughts come to us from all directions. But they will come to us if on our part we do a little bit of opening up. Therefore, while admitting connection between collective consciousness and individual consciousness, I would imagine the individual that you and I presently see ourselves to be has a lot of responsibility. And therefore, even Krishnamurti, who otherwise criticized all kinds of systems, institutions, methods, techniques, etc., urged us to exert, to inquire, to get together in small groups and discuss, etc. That is the 2 cents that we have to do, and rest of it from the collective or from some higher power will come to us. That's what I can say. Thank you.
Rajendran.
Thank you, Jain sir. Our respected Swamiji and Harshad Parekh ji have clarified. They put a lot. They have thrown a lot of lights on the subject, and I have nothing more to add to that. But I am only just asking some questions that has come up in my mind. Are we doing the thinking on our volition? This thinking, this chattering, this self-thought, or thinking is just happening on its own without giving us any choice or uh, anything. Is it just like some autonomous bodily functions like breathing, digesting the food, heart pumping the blood? Is it one of the autonomous functions of our body, or it is just happening? Then controlling the thought. Who wants to control? Who is the controller? The controller and the controlled are not the same entity. Who is that entity? The self. The self is itself is the creation of the same thought. So this struggle goes on like that. This is a self-referential issues. We are just caught in the struggle. Does not the thought is the one who controls. We want to control the thought, but the thought is the one who controls us. They controls the self. All our actions in our relationships and our lives. The thought is the dictator. And then what one has to do? Any action, any effort, or any willpower, any resolve, will it help? No. These are all the same forms of the same thoughts only. Seeing is doing, that is, Krishnaji told, seeing the futility or uselessness or dangers of the thought. That perception, the multi-sensory perception, Krishnaji was referring, see, with all our senses and blood, nerves, all our trillions of cells, you have to see like that. Krishnaji used to emphasize that multi-sensory perception. Whether that seeing is the only doing nothing, because all our efforts are the same thoughts only. See, where the thought arises, where it goes. So seeing is the doing nothing. So that may be that in the light of that perception, maybe one may be able to step out of the stream. That is the stream of collective consciousness. I think that may be the only way. Thank you.
Prasad sir. Prasad sir,
Yes, sir.
please go ahead.
Sir, for me, this question is simple and straightforward. What happens when we control thought? What happens? Supposing there is a river flowing, we put up a dam. The water is controlled. The flow stops. Same thing happens when you control thought. The free flow of thoughts, that gets damped, that gets stopped. So what is the result? You get cast into a mold. You have no pliability of the mind. Your mind becomes rigid. You get stuck in your belief, whatever it is, because your thought has come from your background, that has arisen from your background, from your tradition, etc. And you are controlling it there. which means you are concentrating. When you are concentrating, you are getting stuck deeper and deeper into your tradition, into your background, etc. That is all the result. So, what is the alternative? The alternative is to allow the mind to function freely. Different kinds of thoughts may come on its own, on their own, and you just observe. When you just observe, then you are not stuck in anything. You don't say, my religion is better than your religion, because you have a free mind. You are observing your thoughts. When the thought arises that your religion is a golden religion, then you are just observing it. You are not getting stuck with that idea. So, the conflicts between people, between ideas, between religions, between ideologies, they diminish. If you simply concentrate, then that is the reason we have so many conflicts in the world, and at a personal level also, interpersonal level also we have conflicts, because each one of us is stuck in our own idea. So the option is only to observe. And of course, how you observe is a different matter. We are told you have to observe. There is no difference between the observer and the observed. So you have to observe in a way that you have to realize that the observer is also a fragment of your mind, like that. And at the religious level, when you concentrate, sometimes it can give rise to illusions. That getting stuck with an idea can give rise to illusions. All sorts of mental problems arise out of that concentration. I start seeing visions by getting stuck with an idea. When I am in that elevated mood, which I think it is an elevated mood because of my illusions, my frenzy, like that, then I get followers, because my frenzy it becomes infectious. I get lots of followers. We see so many on the TV, we see so many scenes, both in the West and in our own country, where people are moved. They get into a religious frenzy. So the calmness of your mind is gone. So that is all on that basic question. But I have a small suggestion on the questions raised in that chat box. I will, if you permit me, I will share my ideas on that. First thing is how to reach intelligence, how to access intelligence. That is the question given. There is no way to access intelligence except by seeing the role of thought and observing your thought processes. By that, by understanding the role of thought, how it arises, and all that, when your thought processes, when they subside, intelligence comes into operation. The turbulence of thought, when it subsides, intelligence arises. Then there is another question. What is does questions arise, do thoughts arise from the fund of human consciousness? I don't think there is a fund of human consciousness from which your thoughts are arising. Because your thoughts are personal. They are from your background. They arise from your background. So, possibly, it is not from that fund of human consciousness which is there outside you that your thoughts are arising. Your thoughts are arising from your experience, from your memory. Without reference to your memory, your thoughts have no existence. So, I think that is I don't remember what is the third question. Thank you, sir. I stop here. Thank you.
Pradeep ji.
Good evening, friends. I think I am audible.
Yeah.
Most of the things have been covered, especially comments by Rajendran and Prasad ji. When we realize that observer is observed, simply, if you have come to that level, observer is observed, then the entire responsibility comes to me, absolutely. So I'm free from any other case studies, everything out, and I'm seeing myself as it is. Another point is, when the topic was when we try to control thoughts, what happens? When we use this word we, so there is already a dilution. Then you are simply wriggling out of that by using this word we, because this topic cannot be generalized. You see, it cannot be generalized. Otherwise, things would have been easy. So many people, so many texts have been given. This topic can be taken like a classroom lecture when the students have to pass examination, or whether it is my problem. Is it my problem? The thought, am I trying to control? Do I want to control? Then what are the thoughts that I would like to control? What those thoughts are giving, because as Prasad ji said, thoughts are memories. We know thoughts are memories. So what memories are interfering with the present? My interference. So even all this, if I want to see it honestly within me, requires awareness. Because if I don't see choicelessly, what are the thoughts that are disturbing me, or what are the conflicts that are there as thoughts interfering with my present? For this, you require awareness, choiceless awareness. Then only you can see it yourself honestly. Honesty is another very important thing. Do I want to see my honesty myself? Things will be easy. Then the problem will be known to you. What particular thought is troubling me? Then you will be more with the problem, that is with the thought. Where from it is it coming? Is it existing right now? Or this happened some 15 years back? So one has to be very clear about himself or herself what exactly is my problem. So uh, naturally, when there is some disturbance, or is it a borrowed question for me that the topic is this, I can always talk about it like a lecture, but that doesn't help. If I see myself as I am, for that awareness is required. Now, if somebody is asking how to access that awareness, honesty, we all know most of the things we all know, but somehow I feel we try to press it down because we know that this is not considered, this is not morally correct in the society. Some sort of taboos there about those things which are disturbing me. So I have to be very clear, honest, sincere about myself and my thoughts that are disturbing, if at all, then things will be very easy, simple. It is that simple, but we complicate it. Who said what about this has no meaning. You see, we are all grown up. We have lived life for pretty long, 20, 30, 40 years. So we have we have experiential learning also. Everything is there. So if I see myself clearly for which awareness is required, what Harshadji talks about choiceless awareness, at least for that moment, at least honest at that very moment, then problem has to be tackled. Problem, whether it's a problem or fictitious problem, whether this is a thought only that is troubling me and it doesn't exist, there's something like the ghost which is not there. So I have to be very clear for this. That's all. Somebody else is there waiting for it. And so all the time is over, but still, thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks, Pradeep. But you don't see Waghmare's raised hand. Most of things are covered. The sky is open still. But I allow Adeen sir to say something because only 3 minutes are left. Adeen sir.
Yeah. So this is a mystery for me. Uh, so controlling thought doesn't help, definitely. Just more and more thought. And that controlling action becomes a habit. And then next time also we want to use the same thought to control the thought. And that thought keeps repeating, so it doesn't help. You replace one habit with another habit. So, like when fear arises, you develop some habit to manage that fear, and then that habit repeats itself, so it doesn't help. Also, being absorbed in thought doesn't help. I might be absorbed in my phone, it doesn't help. I'm just choicelessly, mindlessly choosing things to watch, that doesn't help. Both are thought. If I go on a retreat, I don't have the triggers anymore in my mind. Automatically, there is a certain silence. If I go for a walk in nature, I don't need to do anything. Nature, no one is demanding anything from me. And when I'm walking and seeing the trees and just walking, some thoughts come in my mind. But there is a certain silence. So then the nature of those thoughts is a bit different because I'm not absorbed in them. There's a certain silent awareness, you can say. I've asked Harshadji also in the past, what is the relationship between that silence and thought? Of course, I now feel that no one can communicate that. We can use some metaphors and similes like clouds moving in the sky. Choicelessly, we do not react to them. They come and go on their own. But the switch which happens when you're absorbed in thought to when you're not absorbed in thought, it's a mystery to thought. If it was not a mystery, I could make a habit out of it, right? I could repeat it. This, but thought cannot repeat that. What is not thought? You can call it space, you can call it silence, you can call it clouds moving in the sky, you can say it's a third dimension, above thought, which looks at thought. All these you can use, but it's forever a mystery. I would say that's all. And I don't know, I don't want to say more because unless I live that in my daily life, it makes no sense. It's easy to do that when you're in a retreat or walking in nature, but in daily life, it's something different. So unless we can live in daily life like that, the same way, like when you're walking in nature, non-doing in daily life, psychological non-doing, when fear arises and all those things, uh, it's a mystery. So yeah, I don't have any solution. I will say it's just a mystery. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You look so beautiful. Whomsoever speaks last 7:30, he looks very beautiful to me. Please end it now. Modak, please.